In this section, what we're going to do is we're going to review the inventory process using, we're assuming that the first part was done. Now we're doing part two, where we're basically counting inventory. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my settings, and I'm going to turn on my Bluetooth scanner and audio for scan, so I have the ability to hear my scanner. And here we're doing a basic inventory, but we're using lot numbers as well. So the first thing I do is that I open my inventory counting screen on the desktop. I'm going to go to inventory counting, and what we do here, when we do that, it gives us the ability to import the data from the cloud. If we're cloud hosted, we need to do that all the time. I'm just going to say no for now because I don't have any data. And from my main screen here, I do have some items that I've counted previously. I'm going to leave them there because I've already started my count. If I was to do a fresh count, then what I would have, well actually no, let's just do that. I'm going to do a fresh count. I'm just going to go ahead and delete everything by clicking on clean up all tables. So what I've done here, I've just created a fresh start. So if I'm counting a specific warehouse, what I would do is that I would pick the warehouse and click on start inventory. What that would do is that would create an image or a copy of the inventory table with all the items that I have for that warehouse. From the moment that I do that, I'm not supposed to have any more transactions in my warehouse. In this case, what I'm going to do, I just want to adjust one item. So I'm going to do a similar count, but I'm going to do is that I'm going to do it as a cycle count. So I've got my scanner paired to my iPad. I'm just turning it on. If you notice on my iPad, it's actually not connecting. So my scanner is actually not paired. So I'm going to end. So I've put my scanner in pairing mode by pressing both buttons, and I'm just going to go quickly to my settings. I turn on my scanner again, go to Bluetooth. I did have a scanner before, so I'm going to forget it because I'm not sure if it's the same one. And now that I've turned on the scanner and I put it in pairing mode, it appears at the bottom of my screen. All I have to do is just touch it, and now in a second my scanner will be paired. And if it is, then I should have connection. Okay, so it's now connected. I'll go back to basis. So the difference now, I can see that my little Bluetooth icon is on. And if I go into basis and I go to my inventory now, I'll be able to count. So what happens when my scanner is connected is that the scanner becomes the controller of the keyboard. So by double tapping on the power button of the scanner, I can actually open up or close the scanner. So the first thing I would do is I would actually enter my location where I'm actually counting, if I'm using location. And I'm going to press A1, let's say, for my location. And then I'm going to scan my item. Scanning the item, I actually scan the barcode. It brings up the item. In this case, the item is lot numbered, so I'm going to turn on the lot number function. And then here, I can pick an expiry date. And then I'm going to count my quantity. And accept it. Actually, it's June 2017. It's the date that I want, June. Okay, so I'm going to accept these items. There is another option that I could have done in the settings, is instead of choosing my date, I could have scanned it. So I'm just going to go to, and I'm going to turn off the expiry date selector in my settings, because in this case here I do have a barcode that has the lot number and the expiry date. So in this case now I've got my selector turned off. So again, I'm going to scan my item, scan my lot number. And in this case, because I've turned off the selector, now I have the option to also scan the expiry date, and I'm going to count the more item. Actually, this I'm counting in a different location, so I'm just going to change location here. And all I have to do now to put it on is tap on accept. So because I've actually had two scans, they've added up twice, and my screen the second time became yellow to tell me that this is not the first time I scanned it. So when I scan something for the first time, it's green. When I scan it any subsequent time, it's actually yellow. So I'm going to go to scanned, and I see the two scans that I have. Both are fine. And just to point out a few things, on the setting I do have a few options regarding the location. I could have had the option to clear the location after scan. I could have had the option to autofill location if I have a default location in my system, and I could also have a mandatory location. So these are just three settings that we can turn on or off as needed. So let's assume that this is all good. I'm going to go ahead and send that data to the cloud. So now that I've sent that data to the cloud, if I was working on a hosted environment, I need to bring the data from the cloud. If I'm not hosted, then I just have the data would just appear here. So I'm going to go to my desktop, which is on the left here, and I'm going to click on refresh. And because I'm hosted, it's prompting me to import the data from the cloud. I'm going to say yes. And what happens is that it opens a little window here. So I refresh, it imports the data, and as soon as I do that, then I see all the scans that I have that have been performed on my iPad. So then the final thing that I need to do here is to just, so in this case I don't have an image because I haven't created the image yet. If I had done the start inventory, I would have all my items here, but on purpose I just wanted to illustrate how to do a cycle count. So in order to do a cycle count, what I needed to have the information that comes from the accounting package. And in this case I haven't done it yet, so I don't have a description and I don't have an on-hand quantity. So just to recap, if I want to do a cycle count, and all I need is the image for this specific item. If I do a full count, I need the image for all the items so that I can compare the items that I've scanned and the items that I have not scanned. So there's a bunch of reports that allow us to do that. In this case here, because I'm just want to illustrate the cycle count, I'm going to click a button that says scan item only. What that does is that that'll just give me an image for the item that I've scanned. So now that I've done that, it's showing me what I have on hand, how many I counted, and so on and so forth. If I want to make an adjustment here, let's say I counted 55, but actually I had a different quantity, I can change the quantities that I've counted here and just click on adjust count by location, and what that will do is that will modify my count here. So let's do that for each of the items. This is how we make an adjustment. So some of the options that we have on this screen is that I can do a discrepancy report based on the items that I've scanned. So that'll give me a picture of all the items that I scanned. So here I select the discrepancy report. I click on report, and that gives me a view of the items that I've scanned. If I wanted to see that information on the cloud, what I need to do is I just need to make sure that my image is synchronized to the cloud. So this is actually done from here. And again, these are all things that can be automated. So I'm just going to click on basis inventory image. So what that did is that just sent the image to the cloud so that now we can also visualize this. Again, this is only obviously if you're cloud hosted. So if I bring in my screen here, basis inventory and scanned inventory, now I can see the scratch that. We won't look at the cloud for now. Anyway, so once I've done my counts here, let's say this is all I have and I want to adjust BV Essentials, or depending on the accounting package, in this case it's BV Essential, I'm just going to click on export to BVE, and what that will do is that it will allow me to export. In this case here it didn't let me because there are some items that are committed and it doesn't let me. So I'm just going to cheat and say bypass committed, which we don't want to do, but in this case I'm going to do it just so that I can proceed. So now it's going through and it's actually creating an inventory adjustment in BV Essentials, which I can review by opening in BV Essentials and just, this is my adjustment here. So what was just created here is an adjustment where it removed what I didn't have and added everything that I have. And to finish a process, I'm just going to hit on Post to Ledger, which will then adjust the inventory in BV Essential to reflect these. So now that the inventory has been adjusted in BV Essentials, the final step, that's completed, and the adjustment here is gone. So the final step in Basis is actually to tell the system that we have those items in our inventory master. So the final step of inventory is just to click on Add Items to Master Location Table. And what that will do is that will actually send them so that we now have access to see those. And it asks me to send them to the cloud server, which I want to do. So now that I've done that, so let me just recap what I just did, because I know it's a little confusing. So first I went through, took my scanner, scanned a few items, sent them to the cloud, clicked on refresh, brought them back from the cloud. They showed up here. And then I did a scanned item only snapshot of my inventory so that I can have a comparison of what BV or BV Essential thinks I have versus what I have counted. And what that did, that allowed me to have a comparison here, which would allow me to have reports. And then the final step, just to adjust my inventory now that I was happy with what I counted, was to click on Export to BVE. And once I exported to BVE, I was able to then have an accurate inventory in BVE, and also add items to Master Location Table in Basis, which allowed me to now have the proper counts in the iPad. So the final step that I want to illustrate here is now that we've created our inventory, we've updated BV, we've updated our Master Location Table, is now we're able to see those locations directly on the device. If I go to Inventory and Inventory Count, sorry, not Inventory Count, Location and Prices, I can do an item location lookup, and then just by scanning an item, it will now show me these are the two that we've just counted, the A1 and A2, the ones that are here. And then we also happen to have some in a different warehouse. So when I scan the item, it'll actually show me all the items that I have in all the warehouses. So that basically tells me that everything is done, and now my items are ready to be used in a purchase order or in a sales order. So I'm just going to focus on creating one sales order and a purchase order for this item here, number 3107, but this will be in the next video.